Welcome, my 26 subscribers, everyone on Wrestling Reddit, and everyone who throws their allies under the bus by knocking out their world champion in a worked wrestling match. Welcome to my review of Cyberfight Festival 2022 by Pro Wrestling Noah, Gunbrother Pro Wrestling, Tokyo Joshi Pro, and Dramatic Dream Team. Basically, all of Wrestle Universe. Let's begin. So I'd like to talk about the bullshit first, just so we get to focus on the wrestling, like uninterrupted. So on the 8th match of the night, we have a 6-man tag team match between Tetsuya Endo, Jun Akiyama, and Kazusada Higuchi versus Katsuhiko Nakajima, Atsushi Kotoge, and Yoshiki Inamura. And holy shit, within a minute of them getting tagged in, so Endo and Nakajima, so they're both in the ring. They're both doing this like strike battle, like introductory strike battle that happens usually in Japanese wrestling. So they do this. So Endo begins, but Nakajima just stays on the ropes and no sells everything. After this, Nakajima answers back with a hard slap that knocks Endo out. So like this takes him out. He like falls first on his lower back. So this wasn't a sell. He falls first on his lower back, lands on his occiput, and then like his head whiplashes, and then he ends up on the floor in a fencing position. This is not a fucking spoiler because knocking someone out legit in a show and cutting off the match early is not part of the act. It's not a spoiler. So Nakajima is a great wrestler. He is the second best in my opinion. Like, Go Shizaki's number 1. Nakajima is right there at number 2. But part of professional wrestling is protecting your opponent. Because it's an act. It's not a shoot fight. Notice that the building becomes silent after it happened. You can't be giving people concussions. And on top of that, Endo is the DDT World Champion. And he just got buried basically here. A Noah guy just buried the DDT World Champion, and these guys are supposed to be allied companies. This is like so dumb and unnecessary. And the fucking Japanese Noah sweaties that I Google translated from the YouTube video, as well as one guy who's spamming my post on Reddit, who's named after his favorite wrestler. And to you specifically, it doesn't mean if Keno did this, if fucking Kenta did this, to like tougher guys than Tetsuya Endo, that Tetsuya Endo should be able to withstand the same amount of damage and not get a concussion. Because that's not how this thing works. It's not how the human body works. This is relative per person. Stop making excuses for this guy and stop like blindly defending your favorite company because that's fucking dumb. Because right after this, fucking Pro Wrestling Noah posted a video of the incident, and then it cuts to a picture of like some promotional material for Wrestle Universe. Isn't this a bit insensitive? It's a bit of a dick move. It's malicious to your allied company in the same network. Because again, you just buried their world champion. So yeah, speaking of the network, I hope Wrestle Universe or Cyberfight or whatever, I hope they punish Nakajima. I hope like they make an example out of him. Intentional or unintentional, we can't have this shit happening. It kind of looks like Nakajima went to business for himself, but like after when Jun Akiyama went to talk to him, like the legend Jun Akiyama of multiple companies, when he came to talk to Nakajima, it does look like Nakajima has like an apologetic face on. And when he exited the arena, it kind of looked like he was sorry, but we don't know what was in the guy's head, and he could have just as easily lied. But we don't know that. Let's just wait for reports after. Fuck this shit, man. Let's get to the actual show. So the show starts off with an awesome intro with a daimyo and his ashigaru looking cool and doing like a military dance, yelling out the name of the show and then welcoming everybody. This was awesome intro. So we start off with a tag team match between two teams of young lions, one being less young liony than the other. That team being Kinya Okada and Kai Fujimura from Pro Wrestling Noah versus Toi Kojima and Yuya Koroku from DDT. And judging by the looks of the two teams, as well as their ages, like it was clear who was gonna win. And I love how the match like was never even between a team with someone who is barely a young lion anymore against like two guys who are like clearly young lions. They're like 22 and 24 years old and they like barely look like wrestlers right now, but as they get older, they build better physiques. But yeah, I like how the match wasn't even. It took two of them to like hurt Kinya Okada. And whenever it was 1v1, or at least early on in the match, Kinya Okada was like no selling everything. He was destroying these two guys. And it either takes two of them against Kinya or like one weakening Kinya before the other can do damage to him. So basically, like I said, the Noah team dominated like Kojima, like most of the early parts of the match. Kojima could do nothing until he got an opening and then tagged in his senior, who overpowered Fujimura and then got slapped back down to earth by Kinya Okada. And then, like, same story, Okada dominates him, but somehow he manages to dent his armor or, like, gets him to expend enough energy to make an opening for his tag team partner to do the legit damage. Because what happens here is the best part of the match, and it's delivered by the youngest guy in this whole match. Toi Kojima fucking just throws everything, including the kitchen sink. He uses his entire Young Lion arsenal just to take this guy out. And I was about to give him Performer of the Match, but then they have some botches. And there's two of them, like in succession, by each wrestler here. Because first, Kojima botches a Hurricane Rana. He fails to get like his feet on Okada's head. And Okada was also too close, so this was a bit hard to do. But they managed to save this by bringing him sidewards instead of like straight forward. And then right after this, like right after Kojima does a pin and then Okada kicks out, he goes for like a disaster kick and Okada is supposed to regain the upper hand by like kicking him, but Okada misses the kick. So he just had to readjust. He had to do like his like usual kicks to the chest, the ones that Fujita knows sold, and then he did an awesome gut wrench suplex. So the finish of the match is a Boston Crab by Kinya Okada on Toi Kojima, and it ends with Kojima tapping out. And this is like really refreshing here because these days nobody wants to tap out. Everyone just wants to feint to like protect themselves. But here, like this is like a fucking welcome change or return to form. Someone tapping out to submission finishers. So yeah, this was a good opening match, but it's like an opening TV match. It's not something to be put in a pay-per-view, but this is like Japanese wrestling culture. So yeah, nothing we can do about that. This was a good match aside from those botches, and I'm gonna have to award the performer of the match to Toi Kojima. Because after rewatching those botches, it looked like more of Okada's fault. So yeah, next match. So this next match is a Tokyo Joshi Pro match, and I don't know anyone except one of them, which I'll get to later, but I don't know how the audience like usually responds to any of these people, but I'll try my best. So the first to come out is the team of Hikari Noah, Suzume, and Yuki Arai to like a nothing response, like a dead crowd who don't even clap. This was a bit weird and sad. They enter with like some glorious princessy music, Nino Kuni music, and the crowd was just silent. They were dead. They didn't even clap. It was a bit weird and a bit sad. This whole team is the antithesis of the next person who makes an entrance. And this person is Maki Itoh, who does like a whole performance on the stage. She like does like an idol song and dance with the whole dance crew to like no claps. I mean, in Dominion, Jay White got people to cheer even if it wasn't allowed. So I think people here should have like at least cheered, but they didn't. They weren't happy to see Maki Itoh, but we do get like two of her simps in the crowd, and yeah, that's already more reaction than the previous team. And then after this, her teammates enter, like both of them together. Julia Nagano, who has a nurse gimmick. We just need to get her on a team with a doctor and Britt Baker, and then we'll have like a full fucking medical stable in pro wrestling. And then with her is Miyu Yamashita, who looks like she's gonna be carrying the team because she looks like a badass. She legit feels like the closer of this team because of her look. So for the match itself, Julia Nagano plays the role that Kojima played a while ago. She got like beaten up early. She took a lot of the moves from like multiple members of the opposing side. But she also showed some awesome karate moves, like a fucking question mark kick that goes straight down, like it goes completely vertical. This is my number 2 spot of the match, and it's like a nothing move in the grand scheme of things. And then I did my research, and fuck, this person here is a former Power Ranger, a former Super Sentai, so that explains it. She started wrestling after her Power Ranger team killed all of the bad guys. And yeah, she was like better than I expected. As for the woman that started with her, Yuki Arai, she was like the most fundamentally sound, which is basically saying she was like the most like boring styled wrestler. But she did like the best selling. She sold like this very, very light headbutt by Maki Itoh from Yamashita's quads. Yeah. It was like a short head drop that like barely like looked painful, and Yuki Arai here sold it like a champ. And holy shit, as for Maki Itoh, she did a lot better than she did in AEW. She was mainly the leader of this team. She was like the play caller. This like mid-card champion is telling a former 3-time world champion what to do. This is like insane. But her plays mostly hit. And I'd like to talk about that headbutt more. So she like quarterbacks her team to like all gather around and hold Yuki Arai in place before she hits it. And then like what like frustrates me about this part here is like all of Maki's team is in the ring while all of Yuki Arai's teammates are on their corners. They weren't knocked down and they were just watching. This was like so dumb. Why not just help your teammate since you have a valid reason like for the ref to let you in? But yeah, enough of that. Basically, Maki Itoh here was a lot more agile, a lot more weighty in her movements, and a lot less annoying. So yeah, fuck, she was awesome, and she did the spot of the match, which was a kokeshi on Hikari Noah while Noah formed an arch with her body, which was itself to counter a clothesline. And this happened like pretty fast. And the commentators like responded well. But if I was there, I would like put this over so much because I've never seen this ever before in my life. So that's enough of Maki Itoh. She is the best performer of this match. Time to move on to Hikari Noah, who is the most flexible of all these women here. I like how they each have a thing, and this woman uses her flexibility for good. Because first, she used it to set up for the Kokeshi by Maki Itoh on her. And then after that, to open up for a tag, because Maki Itoh was controlling the match until this point, she did like a T-bone suplex on Maki while doing a fucking arch. This was awesome, and I've also never seen this ever before in my life. So they both tag out after this, and then they tag in uh, Miyu Yamashita for Maki Itoh's team, and then Suzume for the other team. And fuck, I didn't expect this because, as I said earlier, I thought Miyu Yamashita was gonna carry her fucking team because she's big. She's like a former three-time champion, and yeah, her look is just like a badass and cool. And then Suzume is like this high-flying, like the smallest person of her team, and then she sort of dominates Yamashita. And again, like I said, all of them have their thing. So Miyu Yamashita is the strongest. She's the powerhouse. Maki Itoh is the leader of her team, and she's the most erratic and unpredictable. Who's the other woman? The former Sentai girl, the former Power Ranger. Nagano knows karate. Yuki is the most fundamentally sound and the best seller. And then Hikari Noa is the most flexible. There is like so much variety among these people here. This is like already better than most of the women's matches that I usually watch in AEW. So yeah, maybe Suzume did not dominate as much, but she did like get more offense off, but I guess that makes sense because Miyu is the bigger woman and has more resistance, has more health points, so that's why she can take more damage from this smaller lady. And her best spot is this like back-to-back spot with Maki Itoh, where they almost like collide with each other after trying for a double team move, but they manage to regain control by going back to back, and then they push their opponents on each other, and then they sandwich them with a shoulder and a kick, taking them out of the match, leaving Suzume open to be roundhouse kicked by Miyu for the win. This match was better than I expected. And it was so fun, it was so good, that this deserved to be in the undercard of the pay-per-view. And holy shit, this was better than anything that came before it, especially the pre-show, because that women's match on the pre-show was like, oh my god, so bad. That like set the tone for me. But now this like changes my perception on everything. So I really enjoyed this match, and this made me want to continue with the show because after getting spoiled with the ending and then with that knockout of Tetsuya Endo, as well as watching the pre-show, I sort of didn't want to make this review anymore, but yeah, this match got me into the pay-per-view. And then after they won the match, I just like paused it and then said everything I just said. But these winners celebrate with like the Nivea company, the skincare company. They had like cutouts and like cardboard promotional material that looked weird. But yeah, you gotta make your money. Good on them for winning 10 years worth of Nivea products as stated by the commentators. But yeah, you might be a champion, but I'm gonna get 10 years worth of Nivea products. So yeah, next match. So for the next match, I think I've stumbled into something very dark in the recesses of DDT Pro Wrestling, because the next match is between Sanshiro Takagi, Kendo Kashin, Shinya Aoki, and Yumiko Hotta versus the team of pheromones. I think that's what they're called. Yuki Sexy Lino, Danshoku Dandy Dieno, Yumehito Fantastic Imanari, and Akito. And this was something. It's what a lot of the old heads hate, and I kind of agree with them. Because this was like incredibly fucking dumb, and I think if you watch this over and over again, like if you watch every DDT show and then they show this like all the time, I think you're eventually gonna get sick of it. Because it's kind of a novelty act. So this is like one of DDT's like sexual comedy matches, and I kind of am entertained, but that's mostly because this is the first time I've seen it. This looks like it can get old incredibly fast, but yeah. So Sanshiro Takagi is in the match, and one of the redeeming factors here is that I think this is like his idea. I think like he wants this to be here. And what's good is that he is willing to take the brunt of the disgusting shit, like the asses to the face, a lot more asses to the face, being made to look like a fool, and get friendly fired by the booker, the alleged booker of their allied company, which is Kendo Kashin. Because there's like this running gag where Kashin attacks Takagi over and over again for no apparent reason, but we later find out that it's the only time, like in the ring, even if they're teammates, that he can kick Takagi's ass. So he does so, and maybe being part of another company is like blended into that, or it could be that they're making fun of his age. But yeah, Kendo Kashin beats on Takagi throughout the entire match, and this is like funny whenever it happens. It even happens till the end and contributes to their defeat. So the early part of the match is like just warming up. It's Yuki sexy posing on other people, on like Kashin specifically. It was like nothing, but after the first tag is maybe the funniest part of the match if it wasn't for the crazy stuff that happens later. But if this was like a regular wrestling match, this was like super funny because Takagi's team kick like fantastic Imanari's ass like all over the place. They use foreign objects, like some weird small foreign object that I don't see that Kashin pulls out of his glove, and then he like puts it on Imanari's head. And not only that, but they use a fucking chain. They bring a chain to the match and like fucking tie it on his head. But then he manages to tag out, thankfully. Because poor guy was gonna lose the match for them. And yeah, Shinya Aoki, a 47-10 MMA legend, a multi-time champion in a lot of MMA companies because I'm looking at his Wikipedia page. This guy's legit. Like, if he was in Pro Wrestling Noah, he would be booked as a champion, as a serious dude. But here in DDT, he's choosing to do this shit. So, props to this guy. Him and Takagi are not marks for themselves. They're willing to do this for entertainment, but yeah. What happens next is when the weirdness starts. So, sexy Yuki fucking teabags Aoki in the face. Yeah, like multiple times. And then at some point, when like Yuki is like stripped down, Aoki like shoves his finger in his ass and licks it. It's almost like I'm talking about a porno when this guy's in the ring. And this is like top one most disgusting spot in this match. And as for Yumiko Hotta, I like that they're all selling for her, that she's like the grandma of the group, but even she's not exempted from the ass tricks. And then finally, Akito is Pheromones' gimp. He also does some gesticulating, but like not to the extent that sexy Iino does it. So basically what happens in this match is, I believe, Sanshiro Takagi's sexual fantasies. Because he is in the ring. He's the legal man for like the longest time. I think like for 5 straight minutes till the end. So I'm not gonna mention the things that Takagi experiences here. You're gonna have to watch that for yourself. This is a weird match and you're probably gonna enjoy it on your first watch if you're like a newbie, but on successive watches it gets old. So yeah, the finish of the match is this weird quote-unquote submission that pheromones do and then they get the win. So I've said all that's needed to say about this match. I'm just going to move on to the next one. So the next match is a Princess of Princess Championship qualifier 4-way match. So that was a mouthful, but it involves Rika Tatsumi, Mizuki, Yuki Kamifuku, and Miyu Watanabe. The winner gets a shot at the belt at the July 9th show. So this match, judging by the place on the card, I thought would be like a lot better than the second one. The one with Maki Itoh. But sadly it wasn't. But it was alright. If he just removed some of the women in this match, this would have been better. But, I mean, yeah, like I said, it was alright. So Yuki Kamifuku kind of moves like a diva. She's the one wearing the cowboy assless pants, and yeah, it kind of felt like they were trying to protect her uh, deficiencies in the ring, and that's understandable. She got in to do her shit, and then she got out. But her moves didn't look bad, it's just like there's no flow to her movement, if you know what I mean. Miyu Watanabe has like a gimmick that she's like super strong. She does like double scoop slams, also like a double giant swing. They play up her like physical strength, but her selling is kind of weak, and then sometimes she delivers strikes that are too weak looking. And then to add to that, she botched some sells, which is a no-no. And then Rika Tatsumi is the former champion, as stated in the commentary, and she was like the second best performer. She executed her moves well. Some didn't look good just because of poor selling from her opponents. She also sells the best among all these women, and I just fucking love how like she screams the whole match. The lungs on this woman, and it's kind of funny, but it's really cool. And then Mizuki is the most impressive. She didn't botch anything. She also sells well, but she did the spot of the match, which was, I forgot the name, a spinning candy. She like spins in midair, like it starts as a crossbody and then she spins to her back and then she lands on her opponent this way. So yeah, so it's kind of like a crossbody coffin drop. Like she spins in midair. Just watch this video. It looks really cool. She also does a drop kick that goes through Rika. Like it just like while she's draping on the first rope, it goes through her and it looks so cool. And here's the video. She also looks like this thicker and taller Riho. And yeah, she's just as smooth in the ring as Riho, but just thicker and taller, and maybe people in the US will take her more seriously. Because you guys, most of my watchers, have like a boner for like taller and bigger people. The match itself was like a show stealer type. It was like a spot fest for the women, but it was a bit botchy and a bit sluggish. So the finish is Rika does like a flying hip attack on Miyu Watanabe, who like sells it the best she can, but she has just like a dead face all throughout the move, and it looks kind of meh. So yeah, Rika gets the pin, and she is the new number one contender. Again, I think I'm saying it the fourth time now. This match is all right, but I think this is not a pay-per-view match for me. This should be like on TV or like a minor Japanese show. This would have been better if it was just like Rika Tatsumi and Mizuki, or like just take out Miyu Watanabe. But yeah, that's this match, and I'm gonna move on to the next one. So the next match is a purely Noah 10-man tag team match. It's between a team of purely Japanese natives versus a bunch of gaijins. So the first team is composed of Takashi Sugiura, Kazuyuki Fujita, Masaki Tamiya, Daiki Inaba, and Shuhei Taniguchi versus the gaijin team of Michael Elgin, Dr. Wagner's grandchild, Rene Dupree, Simon Gotch, and Timothy Thatcher. So this falls in the category of 10-man tag team match where each man only gets tagged in once. Like, they never get tagged back in again. And I've seen matches where people get tagged back in again and those end up being better. They seem less like planned out. It's sort of less like someone is just in to showcase his stuff and then they get tagged back out. Because matches like that, it's like there's no tactics. There's no cutting the ring in half or anything. And the only time where people work together is where things break down, where everyone goes to the ring. It gets predictable and it's like formulaic. It's like they just showed up to do their stuff and get out. So yeah. If any loyal Noah fan is pissed off at that, come on. You notice it too. But their performances in the ring itself, like whenever there's like a 1v1, are really good. Sugiura looks like a beast and is not one of those old guys who should be like lower in the card. This guy could be a main eventer. Still, Michael Elgin and Masaki Tamiya had a great power exchange. Michael Elgin looking better than Kitamiya because Elgin got the final pin. The finish was actually kind of cool, but I'll talk about that later. He's the best performer of this match. Wagner Jr. did his usual stuff. He did like the head turning and like a double foot stomp. He was alright, but he was mainly there to sell. And Rene Dupree had an awesome like exchange with Takashi Sugiura. They beat the shit out of each other, and you know what? If that was a singles match between these two guys, I would watch it. It would certainly be better than this match. I don't know, man. Like, if this match was just longer, it was just like a little bit longer, if like a lot more stuff happened, a lot more like pin saves and stuff, and like teamwork, this would have been better. Inaba was alright, but he was there to take the pin. And Shuhei Taniguchi, along with Simon Gotch, when they were both in the ring, they did the number 2 spot of this match, which was these self-assisted kicks by Simon Gotch to Shuhei Taniguchi on like the ropes. This was innovative and I liked it. And as for Kazuyuki Fujita, this guy proved me wrong. Just look at this video right here. Just look at this amazing sequence where everything went right. This guy should be world champion right now. He should be the next one to beat the current world champion. He single-handedly saved this entire match from being completely formulaic. So the finish of the match was fucking awesome. So Daiki Inaba lifts Elgin when Elgin is about to powerbomb him, but Elgin counters it to like a sunset flip and then to a powerbomb position to where Inaba is already on his shoulders. I mean, like not on his shoulders, but in that kind of position. Both his feet are on Michael Elgin's head, and then Elgin just lifts him up and then buckle bombs him. After this, Elgin goes for the spinning Elgin bomb and wins the match. This finish was awesome and it kind of saved the match. So this match was formulaic, but only because of its length. If this was a bit longer and the wrestlers did a lot more to justify this being on a pay-per-view and not being like on a Dream On Tour show, like a minor Noah show, this would have been like a better match. But yeah, this is Cyberfight. This is like a super show between all of the allied companies. You gotta bring more than that. But so far, this is the second best match of the night so far. Number 1 currently being the Maki Itoh one. Alright, so the next match is an 8-man tag team match, but this time with all DDT wrestlers. And this is the exact opposite of the last one. They wrestle as a team, there's a lot more pin saves, and there's like planning. People just don't go in and do their stuff and get out. They tag each other back into the match. And this one was also given more time. And by more time, I mean plus 3 minutes, because the last one was like about 12 and this one is about 15. So among the wrestlers here, the only one I know is Chris Brooks, because he used to wrestle back in the UK when I watched it, and he was in Sea-Dog VA's video. He's Connor's boy. And so his teammates are Masahiro Takanashi, Naomi Yoshimura, and Harashima. And their opponents are a bunch of boy band looking dudes, and who I thought was an older woman, but it turns out she was like 23. I thought she was like their mother because the way she speaks is like kind of deep, kind of gruff, kind of Ama-like. But she turns out to be the best performer in this entire match. She like works like one of the boys. She does like high flying moves and they don't look janky at all, like ever. She might be the best in-ring women's wrestler I've ever seen. And the top 2 best performer of this entire match is Yuki Ueno, who is like the second coming of Kota Ibushi, because this guy not only dresses like Kota Ibushi, but he sort of is as nimble in the ring as he is. He moves like Kota Ibushi as well. And the rest of the wrestlers here are like pretty much the same. I'm sort of disappointed with Chris Brooks because he wrestles this sort of like high-flying indie style, but it doesn't suit him since he's pretty tall. He should be like more of a technical wrestler, but yeah, maybe he does in his like singles matches. I might check out DDT's tournament after I finish this review. So yeah. The match itself is a show stealer, so there's a lot going on. There isn't really like a narrative in the match. It's just like a collection of cool things that they do to entertain the fans, of course. And what they do is certainly fucking entertaining because they do like two human centipede spots. So first is this like weird submission like collection where they use Yuki Ueno. I'm talking real slow because I'm choosing my words here. They use Yuki Ueno to like perform leg submissions on the two other guys in his team, and then they put Asuka on top of him and make him do like a gory special on her. I mean, it's not the gory bomb, but it's like in that position but a submission. And then the second one they do is this like pin pile up on Naomi Yoshimura, who is also good in this match. But this starts with Mao doing like a moonsault on him. This gets him in a like 69 pin, gets the 2 count, but then Chris Brooks with Takanashi on his back, they like dive on this pile. And then Asuka does a splash on the pile, followed by fucking Yuki Ueno. And then Harashima, being the smart guy of his team, he doesn't want to get involved in this bullshit, so he does a diving dropkick to Yuki Ueno's back, and then the whole thing crumbles. It falls over like a house of cards. And then if I would name a third spot of the match, because the human centipede moments are like top 2, but this third spot is near the end where Harashima like tries to do like a springboard attack on a seated, I think this is Shunma Katsumata. So like he tries to do this move, but right beside him, like out of his field of view, is Yuki Ueno. And then when Harashima goes for the springboard attack, Yuki Ueno just drop kicks him in midair and like fucks up the whole thing. So the finish of the match is like after a poison rana by Harashima on Shunma, Harashima then hits him with a Kinshasa, a Boma, just a running knee, and then gets the 3 count. So this match was so fucking fun. It was a lot more fun than the last one. It certainly got a lot more reactions. All of these guys came here to like give us a fucking show, and they all like shake hands and hug it out till the end. Might have a problem with that, but it's alright. So this is like the best match of the night so far. Number 2 is the Maki Itoh one, and number 3 is the one before this with the Noah guys with Sugiura. So let's move on to the next match. So the next match is, I think it's number 7 now. Yeah, the 7th match on the show is Rob Van Dam's Pro Wrestling Noah debut. But yeah, it's a special appearance. I don't know if he's showing up to future shows, but that would be cool. Rob Van Dam should have been bigger than what he ended up being because he was held down by a certain king of games. Yes. And he kind of won the title too late and held it not long enough because he ended up losing it like, I think like in about a couple of months. But yeah, this guy should have been like the face of a company. Rob Van Dam was fucking awesome in ECW, in the WWE, and everywhere he went. He was my favorite wrestler back in the day, aside from a certain murderer who also had good music, but they both had good music because it was in like a WWE CD called Forcible Entry, and yeah, Rob Van Dam is fucking awesome. And hell, if you want to give him the GHC Heavyweight Championship, like, because he fits the qualification, he is over 45, he is like 53, just give it to him because he's fucking Rob Van Dam. And his teammates are Stinger, so that's Yoshinari Ogawa, and the junior heavyweight champion, Hayata, versus Kaito Kiyomiya, Daisuke Harada, and Yohei. So, all wrestlers that I really like. So, the best performer of this match is the one I'll talk about first, and he started out the match with Kaito Kiyomiya. And this is Rob Van Dam. This dude can still do what he does back in the day, but now at normal speed. I'm saying back in the day, he did it like super fast. He did the usuals, the Van Eliminators, the Rolling Thunders, the 5-star Frog Splash, and even a leg drop while Kiyomiya was draped on the guardrail. This was like so cool. Rob Van Dam. And then as for Kiyomiya, basically he gets beaten the shit out of him by RVD for like almost the whole match. But when he's tagged in for the second time, so it's not formulaic anymore because they tag in more than once, he still gets his ass kicked. Like, I mean, RVD was his daddy this entire match. But he manages to like perform a couple of moves until RVD regains control, and then he sort of finishes him off with a superstar splash, taking Kiyomiya out of the match. But that's later on. So the next one tagged in is RVD tags in Hayata, and this guy was alright. He's fundamentally sound. He's the third best performer of his team, but that's not a bad thing because everyone here brought their A game. Even Hayata, even Ogawa, everyone here. And then Yohei was tagged in, who kicked Hayata's ass, so Hayata tagged in Ogawa. But before this happened, when Yohei was trying to go for a diving attack on Hayata, but second best performer, like Ogawa, who's 55 years old, kicks Yohei's legs from under him, and then Yohei crotches himself on the steel support. And this happens again. Like Ogawa like takes him apart by targeting his balls. So yeah. So the second time this happens is just as when Yohei is entering the ring. He's like on the apron going in the ring, but then Ogawa kicks the ropes and then he crotches himself on the second ropes. And yeah, aside from that, Ogawa, fundamentally sound, botch-free, and nice timing. Just like Hayata. Basically, their performances were just as good as each other, but I just liked Ogawa more because he was a lot funnier in this match. And then finally, Daisuke Harada. I think he was the top performer for like Kaito's team because Kaito got his ass kicked the whole match, and Harada got off the most offense among all of them, to basically the heavyweight of this match, Rob Van Dam. But this wasn't enough, and RVD hit him with a 5-star frog splash for the win. This might be the best match of the night so far. And again, the best performer is Rob Van Dam. He got the most shine, he looked the strongest, and I hope he wins the Noah Heavyweight Championship, because if an old guy has to win it, if Noah has such a boner for like old guys winning the big belts, please let it be Rob Van Dam. And then after this is like a dance number that went too long. This was like a wide-ranging dance number that went from the stage to the ring. But yeah, you know, like it's like part of the show. It was a nice piss break for people who have been holding their bladders until now. Yeah, just to set up for like the main part of the card. And then after this, we get that match. And I would just like to add some things now that I've seen everything from the entrances to the actual match. You know what? The match itself, it was building up to like a great match. I think this was going to be like 20 minutes or more. And I think we were robbed the opportunity to watch this match in full to the end without anything bad happening. And yeah, that's like unfortunate, and someone needs to get punished. You know who you are. But not too bad, because he's awesome. We all still want him to be champion because he's awesome. But yeah, shit happens. You hit too hard, you knock out the champion of your ally, and you gotta get punished for it. So yeah. And as for their entrances, they had a fucking like parade set up for them. Like one set up for Nakajima himself, which was like not as good as Inamura's entrance. Inamura looked like a star. And then Kotoge entered like normally. but on a bigger stage. And then the DDT guys all entered together, all with a parade and stuff. But yeah, this like whole entrance was 9 minutes, and it was longer than the match, and that's just fucking unfortunate. I already talked about what happened, and yeah, let's just move on. And so after that, we have fucking two of the best entrances in the show. You know what? I haven't seen the main event yet, but these two entrances here were like next level shit. Daisuke Sasaki comes out first in a like graveyard themed entrance. And I like the part where this dude with this like type of jacket did this thing right here in the picture that I'm showing you. Because it kind of reminds me of the Collector from Darkest Dungeon. And yeah, that's fucking cool. And I love how these guys got this idea. Maybe it's from Darkest Dungeon. I don't know. But yeah, this is like an Undertaker entrance. This might be like super cool, but the dancing is kind of weird if it's in the States. But if it's here, it's okay. And then to top this, fucking Keno does an entrance where there's a dance number first. And this dance number is like should have an epilepsy warning. I'm kind of surprised that Wrestle Universe doesn't have like an epilepsy warning for this show, because like there are so many flashing lights in this one, but it was so cool. And then when we get Keno himself, he's a Super Saiyan. His hair isn't combed down, and he's wearing like lion pauldrons. And to add to that, the singer of his theme song, I think, is like right with the dancers. Keno is like on a platform, and his singer is like singing his song, wearing a Congo shirt. And then again, to add to this, Keno is singing his song right beside the singer of his song. So it doesn't get any better than this. This is like super cool. This might win best entrance of the night, because this made Keno look like a fucking star. So yeah, this pumped me up for the match to come. So before I talk about the match itself, I kind of find it funny that Keno brought the entire fucking Congo. They're all on ringside, I guess except Nakajima. But he has a lot of people at ringside. He has like Hajime Ohara, Masakatsu Funaki, Manabu Soya. I think that's Tadasuke right there. And yeah, he brought the whole barrio. That's how we say it here. And then they outnumber Daisuke Sasaki's guys, who are just like two dudes. So yeah, that's kind of unfair. Yeah, three dudes. Daisuke Sasaki bought three dudes against most of Congo. So I just got done watching the match, and holy shit, that blew everything in this card out of the water. This is an incredible hardcore match, and before I talk about the match itself, I love how their gear and how their weapons are gimmicked well enough to not cause any serious harm. Because shit, we get like some unprotected headshots here with a bunch of weapons, like a cross and a chair, but I'm gonna talk about that later. I'm first gonna commend Keno for like stooping to this level of match, because he's like a serious wrestler. He goes for like the normal Japanese matches, but his opponent is Daisuke Sasaki, who specializes in death matches, in hardcore matches, and fuck, Keno holds his own and does well and beyond better than what is expected of him. So first of all, like the first thing that happens in the match, aside from the locking up and stuff, is Daisuke Sasaki dragon screws Keno, like his left leg, and then Keno sells it like in an amazing way. And then he sells this up to a point, but he kind of forgets to. So Hangman Page did the selling better, but this is a hardcore match, and it's harder to keep track of the selling. So yeah, Keno started selling on the floor. He was like in an awkward position, and while Keno is selling, Sasaki puts on a Gundam helmet on Keno's Super Saiyan hair. And then I love how the commentators point this out, from Super Saiyan to Gundam. And then when Keno takes this off, he's all pissed and stuff. He throws the helmet at Sasaki, and it's established that Keno is the better like fair wrestler. If this was just like a normal wrestling match, Keno would school the shit out of Sasaki. So that's why Sasaki has to do all of this to like compete with his power level. Because Keno is a Super Saiyan right now. So yeah, so I get why Sasaki has to use all of these weapons. So yeah. Because like whenever it becomes a regular wrestling match, Keno dominates Sasaki. So after this, after dominating Sasaki, knocking him off with a kick, he throws the Gundam helmet to the crowd. And then after this, Sasaki brings in like Yoshihiro, like the sex doll that DDT has. And then Keno, pissed off again, throws this at the crowd. But Sasaki uses this as a distraction to hit Keno with a chair at the back. Genius. And then Sasaki works on Keno's leg. Keno does some awesome selling. But the problem is with his selling is that when he's selling, like when no one's attacking him, it's really good. Like even when someone's attacking him. But on offense, he sometimes forgets to sell. And if you watch Hangman, like the match that Hangman Page had with David Finlay, Hangman never forgets this. So that's why I think Hangman is a better seller. But Keno does some awesome selling himself. Because it looks like here that he's about to die. It's so funny. It's so awesome how he's selling like this. And then we get the first involvement of Daisuke Sasaki's henchmen. They help him set up a table. And I'm guessing Kongo is like right there. They can help, but I don't think they want to help unless Daisuke's like goons are directly attacking Keno. Just like what happens later, they like give receipts to the henchmen as well as Sasaki. But like how they set up the table, they do it uninterrupted. But Keno manages to like protect himself. He saves himself from this predicament and then does a diving foot stomp on Sasaki while he's on the table. This is like an awesome fucking spot, and it's the first of this match. And then after some stuff happens, like specifically a strike battle that Keno easily wins, he gets Sasaki on his Dojime chokehold and then rolls him out to the ramp where it looks like the match is gonna be over. And yeah, it's cool how he rolls him like to the ramp, and like the space here between the ring and the ramp is like so much bigger and so much clearer that they didn't like have any trouble here. They didn't like cut themselves or something, and nobody's legs fell in between. So Keno has Sasaki on the ramp, like on a prone position. He has the Dojime chokehold, prone position. Daisuke Sasaki's, I keep saying his full name, but yeah, Sasaki's legs are like down the ramp, like he's in an L position. He's bended over, so like it's hard for him to escape. So his goons hit Keno with like a stick, and then yeah, Kongo come in and save his ass. There's a big brawl there, and then Manabu Soya, the enforcer, fucking gives receipts to Sasaki for like the goons hurting Keno. It's just like even exchange. So Soya keeps doing this, and then he holds up Sasaki in like a sleeper hold position. Like it's like he's setting him up for someone. And then this whole time, we don't see Masakatsu Funaki until he comes out from the stage in a bike with a basket in front. Like it's an old school bike, and then he like rides it down the ramp, like this fucking small ramp, smaller than AEW's ramp. But this guy rides in like a champ, with his goal being to hit Daisuke Sasaki while he's being held by Soya, basically to commit murder. Masakatsu Funaki was legit trying to kill someone, but then Sasaki escapes, and then Funaki hits Soya in the arm with the bike, and then Soya sells this afterwards. This was so cool. This fucking popped me hard. I had to pause the show and I had to like chuckle to myself. But yeah, this is like number I don't know. This is like number 2 spot of the match. This was so cool, so out of the box that it's gonna piss off a lot of people, but not me. And I think not a lot of other like younger fans. But yeah. And it's cool how Masakatsu Funaki, the legit badass himself, the people who puts top stars to sleep, like in a very short amount of time, he agreed to do this. He agreed to ride on a bike and then basically hit his teammate with it. What a champ. He should never lose the mid-card title, I forgot the name, the national title ever again. He's a national treasure. And then such a big waste of money. This is the worst spot of the match. Sasaki destroyed the bike, officially turning him 100% heel for wasting a bicycle. And then fucking after this already crazy spot, Keno tries to light his shoe up, like just like Joey Janela and just like I think Keno did it first. And he did it successfully there, but here he fails. He like pours the oil on his boot, on his like kick pads. And again, I love how his gear is fireproof and well suited for this, because when he did this last year, he did it successfully against Keiji Muto and no bad thing happened, unlike what Joey Janela did when he tried to do this. He like almost killed himself. But yeah, Keno, great wrestler, like in and out of the ring. Sadly, he fails to do his kick because Daisuke Sasaki fucking stun guns him out of the ring. And not the stun gun move that Tama Tonga uses or like machine gun Carl Anderson uses. He like actually stuns him. He cattle prods him. And again, commendations for Keno for fucking selling this shit as good as he's doing it. Like, he is all in on this match. Even if his character says all the time that he doesn't like the silly shit, that he's a serious wrestler, but here, such versatility and such a champ. This guy is also a national treasure. He should be given every title. And then fucking after this, number 3 spot of the match. It might be the most visually, like the fucking craziest aerial spot of this entire match. Fucking Sasaki sets Keno up on a chair outside, and then he does an elbow drop on him. Oh my god, number 3 spot of the match. Here's the video, and you know what? I think people think this is like spoiling them the match or something. This ruins the match if you haven't seen it. But if you see it like as a whole, it's so fucking crazy and it's worth it. And then here we go. Daisuke Sasaki brings Keno into the ring. And then that's not the only thing he brings in, because he brings in a casket, a coffin, whatever you want to call it. This looks like a shitty, cheap-ass coffin, but same effect. He pours thumbtacks in this casket and aims to scoop slam Keno inside. But Keno, being the fucking superior wrestler, he out-wrestles Sasaki and then power slams him into the casket. Such a sick spot. And it like hurt my back in real life just watching this. So yeah, number 1 spot of the match is this one. So this is like the climax of the match for me. Everything here is like descending already, and then after this, like, we get like unprotected chair shots and like cross shots to the head, because Keno hits Sasaki with a cross, like unprotected to the head. It even breaks one of the arms of the fucking cross. And then Sasaki hits Keno with a chair, but good thing this chair is well gimmicked that the seat pops out when it hits his head. And then for the finish of the match, Sasaki tries to do like a dive from this small ladder compared to the American ladders. It's like shorter. I'm not trying to imply anything, but yeah. So this ladder is like pretty short, but Sasaki does a dive, but this ladder is like very unstable, so like some dudes have to hold it, like some young lions. And so he goes for the dive and then he whiffs it. And then he lands on, I think, some blood capsules or something because like blood just spurts out from the ring. This is like a runner-up spot for me because it was so funny. And then so Sasaki, basically being like a corpse at this point, gets kicked to shit by Keno, like buzzsaw kicked like twice, and then Keno finally gets up on the ladder, and then he does a double foot stomp with all of Kongo holding the ladder up, just so what happened to Daisuke Sasaki doesn't happen to him. And yeah, this is how the match ends. 1, 2, 3. This is match of the night. I mean, like, I don't think anything can top this. This is a 5-star match. This proves NJF right that Japanese wrestlers are trying to impress Dave Meltzer. But yeah, who gives a shit? This match was amazing, very entertaining, and surprisingly safe. So after the match, Keno, with respect, checks on Sasaki, and he does a pose with his Congo boys, and then they leave, but this is not the last we'll see of Keno tonight. So this might be the best match I watched this week. Like, I don't even know if I'll watch Dominion after because, like, nothing can top this match. This is, like, next level shit. And I think this match made up for Nakajima's incident a while ago. So after this, we get a long break because the ring crew has to clean everything up for the women coming up next. But before we get to that, Keiji Muto, or the Great Muta, makes his entrance and then announces his retirement after 5 matches. So I don't really know who he's supposed to face, but I'm assuming one of them is, I hope, in New Japan. Maybe that's Sanada or Okada or Tanahashi or whoever. But here in Noah, I think his final match is going to be against his like arch rival, the young dude who's trying to beat him but can't. That's going to be Kaito Kiyomiya. And I think Kiyomiya is going to be the last one of those 5 to finally retire Muta. And so after that huge bomb of an announcement and after that fucking 5-star match earlier, we get the Princess of Princess Championship between Shoko Nakajima and Yuka Sakazaki, or however you say it, Sakazaki, whatever. And this is AEW's own Yuka Sakazaki, and of course, I want her to win, and I want her to prove all of the American fans wrong who judge her because of her size and judge all of the Joshis based on like the silly shit that they do, but they don't watch the serious matches, like some American shits like Jim Cornette or whatever. Yeah, so I haven't watched the match yet. Let's begin. So this starts off with another big entrance. So Yuka Sakazaki comes in first. She brings in like a high school dance troupe. They do like a southeastern stereotypical dance. It's like a hybrid, but yeah, they do this dance and then they do like a more modern type dance when she goes out. It's an okay entrance. It's not a Keno level entrance though, but it's nice how Yuka is also doing the dance moves. So yeah, this entrance is all good and wholesome, but Shoko Nakajima, she enters like the monster hunter she is. She's like a lady in Skyrim who's wearing like the hide gear. She makes her entrance and she brings in Tyrannosaurus Rexes. So just because of this fact, this entrance is automatically better because it's those like meme Tyrannosaurus Rexes and then they follow Nakajima into the ring. I mean like not into the ring, like on the ramp as she enters the ring. So now for the match itself, this might be the best women's match I've seen in a long time. Because not only do they work as like quickly as well as the boys, but they're actually kind of better than other people. Yuka Sakazaki's like body control as well as like control on the ropes is like unparalleled except by like Grand Metalik or something. But among the women, she is the best at like walking on the ropes. And as for Nakajima, fuck, she's also really good. She like is really agile in the ring and is just as agile as Yuka, but she doesn't do like the ropes thing, so I wouldn't know if she's any good at that, but probably. So yeah, these two just fucking throw each other like off of the apron and it's like really nice to see because there's this one point like early on in the match where somehow Nakajima finds herself on the outside and then Yuka like rope walks into the second rope. She's about to dive on her from there, but like Nakajima gets up and just like throws Yuka on the apron and then to the floor. But it's not over from here because Nakajima goes for a tope suicida, like to hit Yuka, of course, but she accidentally hits one of like the young lionesses or whatever you call like the ones who like assist with the ring or something, but they're also part of the roster. And then Yuka finally goes for the second rope outside dive, and I'm gonna name this like number 3 spot of the match. So this is the first like Chekhov's gun moment of this match because like what I mean is Yuka tried to do an outside dive, but like she failed the first time and then she eventually did it. And then we get a second moment where like it started here where Nakajima failed to do her own outside dive. Like she failed to do a tope suicida, but after a couple of minutes in the ring, when Yuka Sakazaki is thrown outside, Nakajima finally hits like a tope suicida. And I like it when this happens in wrestling. I really didn't know what to call it back then, but I think I used to like refer to it as like circular storytelling, but yeah, it's a great storytelling tool for the matches. I think people are gonna call me a mark for this, but yeah, I mean like fuck off. Let me enjoy my wrestling. I'm gonna call it a Chekhov's gun moment, and you're not gonna stop me, even if you call me a mark. So for this match, like many other women's matches, there are botches. It's just like physical differences. It's their physical build. They tell us this in med school. And yeah, there are some botches here, but nothing too egregious. And I like how it's paced like a main event, and it also feels like a main event. The crowd, although they can't talk, they clap the shit out of this match. And then shortly after this, we get the number 2 spot of the match. It's where Nakajima tries to go for like a Hurricane Rana on Sakazaki, but Yuka counters. She has her in the powerbomb position, and then they go all the way to the side of the ropes, and then Nakajima just like Hurricane Rana's Yuka out of the ring, and the landing, how she falls out of the ring is that her back hits the apron before she falls down outside. And there's a thud on the floor. So after this hard fall by Yuka, it looks like she hurt her left arm. So this gets added to the story, but she doesn't sell this all throughout. So the referee like sort of pauses the match and checks on Yuka and then like gives the go. So I think they had a missed opportunity here to work on the left arm exclusively. They could have told a good story with this, but instead Nakajima chooses to like do submissions that target more than one part of the body. So she goes for a butterfly lock and then like an inverted rings of Saturn. And this has to be like the most tense-filled submission moment of the entire match. But Yuka manages to like crawl to the other side, like from the middle of the ring to the ropes with like both her arms locked. And then Yuka gains back control with this. I don't even know what this is. It's sort of like a high-speed tilt whirl suplex. Yeah, that's what it looks like, but here's the video. She does this, and then she regains control. She takes time to fix her necklace, and then she goes for the top 1 spot of the match. It's when she goes for a brainbuster, but Nakajima turns it around. She like lands on her feet with Yuka on the floor. And then we get the best shot of the entire match of Yuka's shocked face and Nakajima right behind her. So yeah, this was the best spot of the match, and this is followed by another impressive spot. So Nakajima fails to take advantage of this. and Yuka catches her in like a bloody Sunday, but Nakajima fully extends her back, so she's like doing an arch with her back. It's like a reverse C. No. It's like a proper C, but she does it with her back extending. And then Yuka lands the Bloody Sunday with Nakajima in this position. And then we get like the fighting spirit strike battle that they both exhaustedly do, with Nakajima winning it by going for like a discus forearm that Yuka sells incredibly. This is the best sell of the entire match. And then after this, they try to hit each other with 619s. So again, Chekhov's moment number 3. Nakajima goes for a 619. She misses. And then Yuka counters with her own 619. And then after another shot with Yuka sitting, looking shocked, and Nakajima behind her, Nakajima finally hits a 619. Chekhov's moment number 3. And then Nakajima tries to capitalize, but it turns into a strike battle that Yuka wins with this like rising kick. It's kind of weird. I'm just gonna post a picture of the end result. Just use your imagination on how she does this. And then Yuka goes for this like airplane spin facebuster, where she releases her opponent after the spin is done. So like she just throws like Nakajima in the air, face first to the floor. Or like not face first, like flat to the floor. It's like I'm narrating the match now, like till the end. But yeah, Yuka goes for a second rope, like 450 splash, or was it a top rope? I forgot. But yeah, one of the ropes she does like a 450 splash, but Nakajima gets her knees up. This like takes out Yuka. This like sets up for her defeat, basically. So this opens up Yuka to be double arm DDT'd by Nakajima, which like sets her up for her true finish, which is a diving senton, and then Nakajima wins. So after this, they shake hands, and then some guy gives Nakajima like a big jackpot prize with rage on it. I really don't understand what is this prize. But yeah, she wins something, and then she leaves. And yeah, this is my second favorite match of the show so far. This could have been a main event of like any pay-per-view. This is like the best women's match I've seen for a long time, and yeah, Yuka needs like more chances in AEW. She needs to like be higher on the card, because come on, Jade Cargill isn't good. Come on, she just looks nice, but fuck, just like stop obsessing over Jade Cargill, you fucking AEW fans, please. Especially the American fans who like larger people, because come on, Jade Cargill isn't that good. She's like 30 years old, and then she stunk it up with Anna Jay. Come on, Jade Cargill isn't the answer. She's probably gonna move into Hollywood soon. Who gives a shit? Time to push the Joshis again. So yeah, that's it for this match. Let's move on to the main event. It's time for the main event of the evening. So they each get their cool entrances too, but one is cooler than the other, because Satoshi Kojima enters first. So there's this like a normal dance routine that's done by a couple of dancers. It does look really cool, but it's nothing very special. But yeah, Kojima makes his way to the ring with win face on. Like he's smiling all over the place. He knows he's gonna win. Or I don't know if I've just been spoiled, but yeah, that's what Kojima looked like to me. So for the next entrance, it's sort of like a Greco-Roman themed dance, but there's a church in the background, so it's kind of weird. It's kind of not matching up with the time period. It kind of looks more like Attack on Titan than it does like Roman, but I'm gonna call it Roman. So yeah, we have this Greco-Roman sort of like themed entrance. There's like dancing, people are holding torches. Some dudes in some like Roman servant outfits are holding flags. So after the opening performance, there's this sort of LCD on top of like an elevated like platform that looks like it's being held by columns since there is like a video screen down below. But yeah, this LCD shows a door and then it opens up to reveal man-made Noah himself. Noah in human form. He is the GHC heavyweight champion. He dresses in Misawa colors and he isn't even hiding it. Go Shiozaki. Oh my god, so this is the last time I'm gonna do that entrance with Go as champion. For now, but yeah. So Go makes his entrance. He comes down, he has this like servant boy hold the end of his cape, so it's like a long fucking cape. He walks the entirety of the ramp and it covers the entirety of the ramp. Such a great fucking entrance. It's sad what happens later. And again, I don't know if I've just been spoiled or like Go's face here has lose written all over it. It's like what Steven Larson say, like the win face, the lose face. Go Shiozaki has lose face right here. So for the match itself, it's like the usual Japanese main event. Slow start, the minor stuff, and then we escalate in intensity of the moves. And here, instead of like going for lockups, going for chain wrestling, they start with strikes and they end with strikes. Because I think it was like set in this match that Go Shiozaki is like better at chopping.
Yeah, it's very difficult for
He has harder chops than Kojima. Kojima couldn't even compete with the chops. And shit, Go's chops this entire match, again, very, very loud. And I think I saw Kojima's chest like bleed a little bit. And I love how Kojima sells the chops here. He like grabs his chest and falls down. This is right after the number 3 spot of the match, which is like a diving knee to Kojima's head, to his occiput. And then as the match continues, I think they really missed a big opportunity to like work on each other's arms since their finisher is the lariat. Like Go started working on Kojima's arm earlier but never continued, and as a main event, I think they should do that. I think they should do that, target limbs, and then continue to sell the limbs even if on offense. Just like CM Punk and Hangman Page's main event, even if like CM Punk botched a couple of moves. But yeah, Hangman Page sold his leg like till the end of the match there. And this would have been a great opportunity for like Kojima and Shiozaki to like target each other's arms and then like have difficulty in like doing their finishing moves. That would have been a great like story to tell. But I think I'm overall like underwhelmed by this match. It like falls below my expectation because these two had a great encounter in Dream on Night 4. And I'm going to talk about why later when we get to the finish. But yeah. So before I talk about the finish, because the top spot of the match happens like before the number 2 spot. But yeah, top spot of the match is this like superplex. Like Go Shiozaki from the victim position of a superplex manages to do like a spinning superplex on Kojima. This is like impressive because nobody does this. I mean, some people like pretend that they're gonna suplex someone outside, but it never really happens. They never really like get saved from this position unless they like go for a sunset flip or like a Panama sunrise or whatever. But yeah, here Go turns it around. He like still does a superplex into the ring, but from the victim position. And then we get to like the last part of the match. This happens after the number 2 spot of the match, which is like Go Shiozaki missing a big moonsault to Kojima. Kojima rolls out and then Go burns himself on the floor, opening him up to like a clothesline, but instead he lariats Kojima instead. So this whole finishing sequence is basically Kojima and Shiozaki like racking up lariats. Like they go for a best of 5 series here, with Kojima winning with 3 lariats over Go's 2, because Go does one like before the moonsault to set it up, and then he got the second one when he clotheslined Kojima after Go missed the moonsault. Kojima got one, but it's just a short arm lariat after Go tries to go for his own short arm lariat, but instead Kojima hit him. And then he hits number 2 when Go ducks from a running lariat, and then he still gets lariated after. And number 3 and the winning lariat happens like right after this. Go is like recovering, bringing himself up by climbing on the ropes. And then like they both run at each other, but Kojima lariats Go for the win. 1, 2, 3. So I like the finish better in Night 4 Dream On because there's a spot where they both lariat each other and then one falls, like Go falters, but then he still gets the win. It would have been cool to have that, but with Kojima winning. Like, just directly parallel that moment because it already happened within the story. So yeah, I'm kind of disappointed with this finish. It's just like racking up lariats. But yeah, that's the match. And as for the winner, so Kojima wins. So another like old dude. Noah fans are gonna like, some Noah fans are gonna be happy. Some are gonna like criticize this move for being an old dude and stuff. But in my opinion, I think Kojima is the best like dad level wrestler in New Japan and like should still be challenging for championships. Like he should be in a Tanahashi role or something because he can still deliver great matches, and this match really shows how much they're like misusing him there. Like basically they could put him in a main event with like Jay White, like the new champion, spoilers, and it would be a really good match, but instead they're having him lose to everyone. They're having him lose to like Yujiro Takahashi or something, I forgot, and having him only like beat Young Lions. I'd rather have Kojima win it than anyone else, like Fujita. And then like other dudes in this like category for me is Sugiura. Sugiura can still go and he looks like a tough dude. He looks like a Yakuza boss or something. And then Rob Van Dam because he's fucking Rob Van Dam. I wish he wins the Noah championship just because he's old and Noah has a propensity to give it to like older people. But yeah, Kojima is awesome, but the problem with this championship win is that they're like putting themselves below New Japan. They're like confirming it because how he was booked there is like a lower carder. Like I said a while ago, he only beat Young Lions. He never won anything. And he probably won't be booked higher in that card. Like, I think they should have negotiated with New Japan that this is our plans. That will make Kojima champion, will make him like higher up on the card. So when he goes back to New Japan, he'll be higher up on the card. So I think they should have like negotiated with New Japan to book Kojima to beat like higher in the card stars before winning the GHC championship, because yeah, it kind of brings Noah down a little bit. Their champion is a lower card New Japan guy. I don't know how the Japanese fans see it, but I heard that this happened like in the mid 2000s and people hated it. But now people are loving this. I mean, I better go ask around in like the Noah Reddit or something, whatever. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the winner. And so, yeah, let's continue on with the remainder of the show. So Kojima makes his like closing remarks. He thanks Shozaki like ferociously, vehemently, thanks Shozaki until he leaves, but he's interrupted by Keno, who walks to the ring with purpose, and then he like disrespects Kojima. He like is the head, like the head in the movement of like getting these old guys out of Noah. I think that's what the commentator said. And then he challenges Kojima to a shot at the title. But Kojima tells him to be polite, to be respectful to your elders, and then he tells him to fuck off. And then he finishes his closing remarks. And yeah, so Keno's the next challenger. That's really cool because he really proved himself in like the hardcore match that he had earlier. He made it like fucking 5 stars. It was really good. And so I hope Kojima doesn't beat Keno. I hope Keno takes the title back because if Kojima, the lower card New Japan guy, beats another top tier Noah guy, that's like for sure burying your company. And yeah, basically, I want Keno to beat Kojima. So after this, Kojima heads up the stage where all of the roster gathers so they can like have their picture taken. They can like say thank you to the fans. And then like Shoko Nakajima says her like closing statement. The president of DDT makes his closing statement, and then like some fireworks go off, some bubbles. We get a picture of Simon Gosh looking unimpressed at the side, along with Michael Elgin. This was like pretty funny. And we had some of Pheromones like sell the fireworks. And so we close out the show like this. So they all leave, and that's the end of the show. So Cyberfight Festival 2022 was a really fucking good show. This can be like this alliance's WrestleMania because they went out of their way to like throw the whole budget at this show with like multiple dance numbers, some like really great entrances, and a match card that lives up to the status of the pay-per-view. These are my match rankings, and like from top to bottom there are great matches. It's unfortunate that the 8th match was ruined by Nakajima's antics. That match to its completion would have elevated this show further. But as it is right now, it's really good. The pre-show was a bit shit, but I choose not to include it in my like final evaluation. And as it compares to other pay-per-views that I watched, this is certainly better than Hell in a Cell. I think a lot of things are better than Hell in a Cell, but it's right there, close to Double or Nothing, but doesn't surpass it. Because I think Double or Nothing had a better main event. Again, there was some limb targeting, there was some selling on offense, and Double or Nothing managed to innovate more than this show. Anarchy in the Arena was like fucking awesome, but this show, Cyberfight Festival 2022, had better women's matches. It blew AEW out of the water, like based on the women's matches. But Double or Nothing didn't have someone ruin a match, cut it short. That is like part of like the upper half of the card. So I would give that a higher score than this. I don't know how Dominion can top this. I still haven't watched Dominion, but I'm expecting it to not be better than Cyberfight. So yeah, so we'll see after I watch that. We'll see after I review that. And that's the review. So yeah, like, comment, and subscribe for engagement. Share if you don't know me. Hit the bell notification for future videos and watch my shit.